Have you ever wondered about what are the biggest turnoffs on LinkedIn? Like, what are the things that are so freaking ick that will make people unfollow you or block you or mute you or do one of those things? And it mightn't be exactly what you think. Most of the people that I meet, when they're coaches, consultants, or service providers, and they're looking to grow their business, they want to do it on LinkedIn. They want to be visible on LinkedIn. They want to grow their thought leadership. They want to be uncopyable. They want to get clarify what their USP is. They want to clarify their message. But the one thing they really don't want to come across as is being self-promotional. They don't want to blow their own trumpet too much. What's interesting is there's a study been done by Neil Patel. If you're not familiar with Neil Patel, he's definitely one to follow. Neil Patel owns Uber Suggest, which he does a huge amount of work around search engine optimization. I would say he's one of the forerunners in SEO globally. He's definitely somebody to watch if you've got a website and you're looking to know how to leverage your website organically or with paid advertising. Neil Patel should be your go-to. Now, when it comes to LinkedIn, what's really interesting is Neil has done some research about social media. He and tied that in with website marketing and all of that, email marketing and all of that sort of great stuff. And he's created a list of the top 15 to 20 things that are social media sins and what causes people to unfollow you. So here they are. I'm going to go through what they are and what they mean and to make sure that you can avoid them. We're going to talk about the self-promotion piece because that's huge. As I said, when people come and speak to me, when we're looking at their brand story and we're workshopping that before they join my business accelerator program, that's the biggest thing that usually they want to avoid being self-promotional. So the first one is clickbait headlines. Now, if you don't know what clickbait headlines are, they tend to be the headlines that are a bit like, uh-oh, see what happened, or something along those lines of you'll never guess what. So they're the types of headlines that make people stop and click. Now, they do work. Clickbait headlines actually work, and they're fantastic to get people to stop and scroll. The thing with clickbait headlines is if you use them too often, it's a social media sin. It's a social media sin because people start to see through it and it feels like you're just constantly trying to get people to stop the scroll with the headline. But beneath the headline, you're talking shit. There's no context or quality or information or entertainment or anything that makes people interested in the content that you have beneath. So the headline might be okay, but what you've got underneath, not so much. And so people are less likely to stay interested in what you have to say and will possibly unfollow you. So that's number one. Number two is posting fake or exaggerated content. So that's basically dramatizing what you're talking about. It's catastrophizing what you're talking about. It's making shit up. Don't do that on LinkedIn because one of the things that's so valued on LinkedIn is authenticity. People love it when you show up and you're just yourself, you're just real. And more, what we're seeing on LinkedIn is that, and even on a LinkedIn workshop I've done with LinkedIn themselves, what they're saying that they're promoting or that the algorithm is favoring are authentic images. So selfies rather than stock photos, selfies rather than brand photography, even videos that are unedited and unscripted, short form videos and reels that are just created on your phone as opposed to professionally curated content. Now, I'm sorry if you're a graphic designer, brand photographer, or a professional videographer, that stuff is maybe not what you want to hear if you're trying to grow your business right now. But there's ways to blend both, I think. And the moral of the story that I'm trying to share here is if your content is authentic, that's what will work. Whereas if you're, I don't know, making shit up as you're talking about it, like, or exaggerating the claims that you're making, like I have helped people millionize in their business. I've literally done that. But if I said I've helped every client millionize their business, no. And I can't help everyone millionize their business because everyone isn't $1 million, euro, whatever business person potentially. And not everybody wants to millionize their business. So those will be fake or exaggerated claims. But in my millionized mastermind, I have actually helped somebody millionize their business. Okay. The third one is sharing boring or uninspired content. Okay, there's so much stuff on LinkedIn that is as boring as fuck. Pardon my language, but I have an opinion about this, and it is that the stuff is just so freaking boring. It's vanilla, it is not interesting, it doesn't communicate a point, it's basically boring. And it's like, oh, I'm excited to share. I was at this event. Who gives a fiddlers? Or, exciting news. No, it's not exciting. I'm sorry. It's boring. Or, I've been promoted. Yeah, great. That's great. Your colleagues and peers might be happy for you, but nobody else gives a shit, right? And that's the reality, because at the end of the day, every person who is on LinkedIn is on LinkedIn as the hero of their own story. Okay. And if you are creating content that's about you, that's vanilla or boring, people are not going to enter into your story because they're so busy and captivated within their own. So what you've got to do, if you're going to show up on LinkedIn and you want to capture people's imagination, you want to capture people's attention, and attention is the most valuable resource on the internet. Capturing people's attention is the most valuable resource on the internet. If you want to do that, you can't share boring as fuck content. It's got to be uncopyable, it's got to be opinionated, maybe motivational, maybe inspirational, maybe something that compares people so they're interested or their curiosity is sparked, something that intrigues them or makes them laugh or has some sort of an effect on them. Because it's really interesting. On the Master Your Business podcast, I had Ian Golding. He's a customer experience expert. He's like the OG of customer experience. Ian came on and he talked about three types of experiences that people can have. They can have really amazing experience, good experiences. They can have bad experiences, or they can have unforgettable experiences. So good experience, freaking amazing. Bad experiences are better, believe it or not, than unforgettable ones. And so and the reason being is because at least people will remember a bad experience. But if it's unforgettable, it goes so fucking low under the radar that nobody's going to remember you. And at the end of the day, what marketing should be for you is a lesson in memorability. And the reason it's a lesson in memorability is because it can take as many as between 1 and 50 times for somebody to buy from you. But for them to do that, they need to see the same consistent message repeatedly. And if they don't see that same consistent message repeatedly and that it's something that actually is good or bad, you're unforgettable and you're wasting your freaking time. So boring content will make people unfollow you, or worse, they'll just forget about you. And when they don't engage, your stuff won't show up in their feed and they won't pay attention. So they might as well unfollow you. It's a social media sin. Number four, encouraging unnecessary reactions for engagement. That's really interesting. What people are inclined to do when that stuff comes up is actually hide you. That's what they do. They don't necessarily unfollow you, but what they do is that they hide you. So it's kind of like they mute you so that they can't see your content showing up. So if you've got low engagement rates on your content, you're wondering why, it's because half your followers are muting you. And what I mean by this is it's where you're getting people to try to engage in a specific way, but maybe it's like share this or tag people or do that sort of stuff. People don't want to do anything that's going to require effort. They're on social media to be social or to learn something or to be entertained or to pass the time. And if you're trying to get them to, if you're encouraging them to take unnecessary or actions that had no value to them or to you or to the content or anything else, they're just going to mute you. That's it. Simple as that. The fifth one, and it's number 5, is being too much self-promotional. And what's so cool or interesting about that, it's not cool, it's interesting, is that most people think by talking or showing up at all on social media that that's nearly being self-promotional, but it's not. And it comes back to what I said is if you are entering a story or telling a story, if that story is about you, well, then that is self-promotional to a degree. But you can flip that story. So you weave in your personal journey or your personal experiences or things that have happened to you or your clients or somebody else. And then you flip that so that the story relates to your clients. Well, then that's where the magic happens. And that's not self-promotional. The self-promotional stuff is, hey, look at me. Aren't I freaking amazing? Buy from me today. And everybody's going, oh my God, no, thank you. That's it. Don't want that. And very often, what I see when people come on calls with me, Business Accelerator in particular, sometimes they've tried working with social media experts. They've hired people who are freelancers. And what's happened is because they haven't worked on the foundations of their brand story, they don't have an underlying narrative for all of their messaging. They haven't defined really what makes them uncopyable. And they haven't explained to the social media expert what their offers are and what they're selling. That stuff that actually the social media person ends up putting out is 90% of the time self-promotional. And so you might have gone through one, two, three, four, five different social media virtual assistants, and none of them have worked out, and the stuff hasn't converted for you, and you're wondering why. That's why. It's because the messaging isn't clear. It's about you. It's not about your clients. And they're not clear on how to sound like you, how to show up like you. And so it's basically lacking context very often and is empty, high level stuff that is promoting you and bigging you up. And that just doesn't work because, as I said, people are more interested in their story than they are in yours. So those are the top five. You can go and check out Neil Patel and see what he has to say in terms of social media. That study that he conducted was based on over 18,000 survey respondents across social media platforms to do with social media sins. And it's literally called Why People Unfollow Your Brand. So I think it's really interesting because, as he says in his post, it's one thing to get to find people, it's another thing to keep them. And Ian Golding in the Master Your Business podcast, we literally call that podcast Finding, Winning and Keeping Customers. That's what I help people do. But it's so interesting to hear that Neil talk about this in this way for social media as well. And it's not even winning. It's not even winning followers, but to a degree, it actually is. It is winning followers. And then it is finding followers, winning them and keeping them. And that can be challenging to do if you're making any of those five sins. So I'd love to know what you think about this, if this is something that resonates with you right now, if you've seen a particular page or there's somebody that you follow and they're doing one of those sins. I'd love to hear what you think about it. And have you muted them? Have you hidden them? Have you followed them? Have you done it or unfollowed? What have you done? I'd love to know. If you'd like to hear more tips like this, if you want to get more visible and don't want to be self-promotion like a lot of my other clients, and you want to grow on LinkedIn, you want to get more visible on LinkedIn, you want to attract more clients on LinkedIn, well, be sure to register for my upcoming masterclass next week. It's a challenge, I beg your pardon. It's 5 days starting on Monday week, actually the 27th. It is the 27th, isn't it? What date is today? Today is the 17th. The 24th is next Friday. So it's the following week, actually, the 27th for the week, every day at 2:30 p.m. LinkedIn Visibility Challenge. That's what it's called. And it is how to attract your ideal clients without the ick. So it's making sure that you're not doing any of these social media sins or any of the other ones that Neil Patel talks about, but ones that you probably instinctively know you definitely don't want to create that feeling for your ideal clients. We're going to be doing, I'm going to be giving you some prompts and things to help you get visible and attract clients during the week. So if you want to make 2025 your best year yet, be sure to show up live, register www.deirdremartin.ie/LinkedIn Visibility Challenge. Hope to see you there. And in the meantime, reach out if you have any questions or if I can help you in any way. Thank you for watching live today. And until next week, same time, same place. Have a great week on LinkedIn.